While Marcel was blind from birth, he never saw an attractive woman. In fact, he could possibly not even have the concept of what we mean by an attractive woman, and yet he was always with them at all times. Here's this fellow with average looks, no sports car, no money, that women find irresistible.
Usually when I meet a man, the first thing I notice is his eyes. But with Marcel, it was really his hands. The first time he touched me, I knew then either I had to give in completely or to walk away forever.
The French have a saying, les yeux sont le reflet de l'amour. The eyes are the reflection of the soul. But with Marcel, it was his hands.
I guess one way of understanding this irresistible attraction that women have for Marcel is to go to what may be Freud's most significant contribution to the theory of love. Freud said that the finding of the loved one is in fact a refund.
Marcel listened to me. He didn't just love me for my looks. He wanted to know what was inside and how I developed. He didn't want to know what he could get. Only what we could give each other.
When he took me to the movies, he allowed me to become his eyes. And as we would sit side by side in the darkness, we would become as one.
During childhood, there is also the development of this anxiety associated with the attraction towards the parent of the other sex. One wants the parent and the unification, the mating, the closeness with the parent of the other sex. But one is also terribly afraid of what may happen were that unification to take place, which is traditionally called the Oedipal complex. So what Freud meant by finding the loved one is a refinding is that a compromise has to be found in this finding of the other, whereby the other simultaneously evokes the affective content of childhood by resembling the parent who evoked that affection, but at the same time does not trigger the anxiety, the fear associated with the possibility of fulfilling this sexual wish for the parent of the other sex.
In the winter, and Marcel would intensely listen to the crunch of the snow and on my shoes.
I met Marcel in college on the East Coast. It was a liberal arts college, and as part of our liberal arts education, we both had to take some science. Marcel always felt that science was a very limiting way of looking at the world, but he had to take a course anyway. He decided to take the most difficult graduate particle physics course. As usual, he was able to talk his way into it, even though he had never taken a course in physics before. He ended up taking a famous course taught by Professor Blavatsky, one of the most beautiful yet forbidding women I've ever known. Within 2 days, she had him under her spell, as she had many of us. I could tell he was really interested in the course, and his interest was more than just intellectual. He figured out that a way to impress her was to solve a difficult problem. He started telling me about a problem called the Schwarzschild solution to general relativity. He felt that there was a second solution, and of course I was very skeptical about this. I didn't see him for many weeks. until one morning he burst into my room and said he had found. Apparently, he had found a second solution to the Schwarzschild conditions of general relativity. Several weeks after that, I saw him and Professor Blavatsky, Alice, he told me was her name, at a club, enjoying themselves in loud music and dangerous atmosphere. And sometime after that, I saw them together again at an art opening.
With all my other lovers, I never thought about, you know, what they were seeing or what, you know, I wanted to be attractive to them, you know, and I wanted to smell nice, but it was kind of not talked about or not discussed or not shown with a certain sensitivity. And with Marcel it was, because he couldn't see, so I couldn't, you know, make myself attractive to him in that way. So I had to specifically, you know, think about how I smelled or how I was moving or, you know, how he was perceiving what I was doing. And it really made me aware of myself.
Marcel understands what it's like to be a woman. One time, he tried my birth control pill. Why? Because he wanted to know what it felt like to be a woman.
See, the first time that I ran into Marcel, he was with the twins down at the golf course. I was down there working on my putting, and I kind of fell into conversation with him. And I asked him about his handicap. And he said, oh, well, I've got it down to 7 strokes. Well, so I pressed on with the obvious question, and he said, well, what I do is I have one of the girls stand behind me and place a hand on each shoulder and look towards the hole. And just by feeling the subtle tensions in her body, I know the direction to hit the ball. Right. Okay, so we played a few holes, and I'll be damned if he didn't hang in there with the best of them.
And he was like, skiing, yeah, you know, can I come? And I was like, sure. You know, totally not expecting that he would have skied, which was really unfair on my part. And so we went, and he asked me to ski behind him and direct him around the people. And, you know, it was kind of awkward at first, but he was really funny, and he made everybody feel really comfortable about it.
So how might this bear on the case of Marcel and the irresistible attraction that women seem to feel for him? It is possible to think that in Marcel they find a man, because after all he is a man. He is affectionate, he is emotional, he's open, but he's also a man. But he's blind.
Fuck you!
Try it again. Try it again.
Video is to cinema as oil paint is to acrylic, and that's really reversed, right?
Les yeux sont le reflet de l'âme. The soul is the window.
To the eyes. What do they mean by that?